Ready to go, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So here we are. It's episode 22 of the Tennessee Titans UK Fans podcast. Once again, I'm joined by James and David. Guys, thanks for joining me once more.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, the season has now finished for the Tennessee Titans. We had our final game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where it finished the Titans 7, the Jags 41. Not a result we wanted, especially after that drive when we took the lead 7-0. I think everyone was a bit excited. Even I got a bit excited. I thought, here we go. We're gonna show the Jags what's going to happen. And then Cam got his injury. Obviously, a very disappointing injury for Cam Ward. After such a good drive, I was watching the running back. I was like, where is he going with the ball? Then I realised Cam had the ball in his hands, got the touchdown. But as he went down, we saw him clutch. Well, we all thought to start with he clutched his ribs, but it wasn't a rib injury. It was an injury to his shoulder. And from that point, I think the game was over for the Titans. I think at that point, I think it all just kind of went downhill when Allen came in. So did you guys manage to watch the entire game on Sunday night? Did you stick it out like I did?
Yeah, well, I watched it until they had the kneel downs. Then I turned it off. But I watched all the game. But I mean, as you say, the game until Cam got injured, you were interested in it. After that, you were just sort of interested in it. But I want to know what you think. I mean, Cam was in the end zone and the black diver room. I mean, he was lucky that it was the beginning of the season, he didn't have a more serious injury. But I thought it should have been a flag because he was already virtually down and the ball was in the end zone when he dived on him.
Yeah, you could see the way he leaned on him as well. It looked
Yeah,
like a late, harsh tackle, didn't it? Really, even
yeah,
you'd understand if both teams were going for the playoffs and they winner takes all in that game. You kind of understand a bit more rivalry and a bit more going on. The fact it was a bit of a gimme for the Jags, you know, although the Titans scored, I think the Jags were always going to win that one. You kind of think there wasn't that much on the line to cause any injuries. Seemed a bit harsh, but like you say, yeah, just it would have been nice to see a flag there.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Alan came in. I mean, they weren't getting much running game going. And it was, wow, it was, I guess they had a quarterback who's in form with a good wide receiver against a backup secondary. And we had people who had not really played before this season much football at all, apart from the rookies who were first season. But it was just we didn't have a chance really.
I
James, got anything positive to say?
I watched the first drive. Well, I watched the first defensive holdout, which was good. Simmons straight off the mark, and then I watched the first drive. Cam got injured, and I switched off. I actually switched over to watch the Browns Bengals game because I wanted to see if Garrett could get the sack record. So I sat and watched that pitifully right way through to the end because he got his sack with something like 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So I sat through a lot of rubbish in that one as well. But to be fair, I wasn't really watching much. It was only really when the Bengals were attacking that I actually paid attention. But I had the notifications going through and I watched it on the stat counters, and it was seemed pretty poor. I was pissed off with the play calling. I'm a bit like, in my mind, we haven't used Cam, well, we haven't done plays for Cam to run the ball a lot. It's not something that we've put in the playbook. We've not utilized that sort of play the whole season. And for him to rush in the last game of the season in a nothing game, I think was a complete and utter waste of a play, really. Pollard needed touchdowns for his incentives. We should have just fed Pollard and just let him ground and pound it through. It's one of those things. I know QBs can get injured at any time, and the amount of sacks he's had, he could get injured at any time. But for me, you're getting him Ward to run into defenders with even a bigger chance of getting tackled. You should just be protecting him. It's a damage limitation game, I feel. We've got nothing to play for. Keep him in the pocket, keep him protected, keep him on cotton wool, get him through to the end of the game, and then that's it. You've got him through to the next season. But did a play for him to rush. He got injured. There's a bit of speculation to what the injury is. I'm unsure fully what it actually is because it's nothing really official. It's just rumours at the moment. and it seems to be either a grade 2 or grade 3. But the bad thing about those sprains is that he's out. He's out. Like he's not going to be playing for 2 months or throwing anyway for 2 months, and
Well,
that's
yeah,
if
they've
he.
said
That's,
he can just do training, he can do his footwork, but he can't throw, which obviously for a quarterback,
yeah, he's
arm
going to
strength
work
is probably the most important thing, isn't it?
he's going to work on his mechanisms with his feet and stuff like that, the mechanics of the play, which is fair. But you want him to. He's now got to tie that all in with his throwing arm, and obviously you want him to be fully at it. You don't want him to be injured. And I feel like now we're in a. It was just an anticlimax towards the end. We've been building up through these last few weeks where we've been seeing him play really well. The excitement's grown, especially for me. I'm looking forward to next season, or I was looking forward to next season. New head coach, new play calls, players that are actually playing. We've got a good amount of cap space, and then our franchise QB gets injured, and I'm just a bit like, great, this is. And if he does require surgery, there was a whole thing with Levis last year that it was he didn't need surgery. He played through it. He should have rested. He didn't rest, and then it was only supposed to be a something small, and then it ended up being big. He needed a big surgery. They need to figure out what it is now, because if he needs surgery, he needs to get it done now. Because I think there's someone saying it's grade 2, but still could have surgery to fix it.
Mm.
And I just feel like you need to get him. We need to have him fit because that's a big injury for a QB, especially when it's an important off season with new playbooks to learn, new head coaches to play to learn their way of playing. You wanted to build a relationship with new players. Like they work so much in the off season on their own. Like last year, we saw Cam before the draft. He was doing so many different trainings like sessions with coaches, with his own personal QB coaches, strength and conditioning, all that sort of stuff. They're still working out, and he's now not going to be doing that for a minimum of 2 months.
Well, I think they don't do too much for doing the, I mean, most players don't do too much for the next month or so. They've worked hard for the last 4 months, 5 months, and so they tend to have a month off, go fishing or whatever, play golf or whatever. So they take it a bit easy for now, but then they start probably in a month and 6 weeks time, a month's time, 2 months time, start moving a bit forward to getting back to fitness.
Yeah, you just want to see those things, don't you? Because his mentality seems is so good, and the stuff he said about coming into the off season and what he's going to work on, and you could, I feel like he really wants to be that player for the Tennessee Titans, and he knows he's got stuff to work on, and he's been very open about he knows he's got stuff to fix,
Mm.
and he wants to do it, and it's one of those ones you like, just finish the season healthy, get into the off season, have your little break, but then get on it. And I feel like he would be that player that would just be getting on it. He would be the one that would be ringing up players like Restrepo. He did and doing workouts of him. I'm pretty sure when he got drafted, he was doing private workouts of him, Chig, and Ridley and Restrepo. They're all going to like these little camps, I don't know, where closest high school or something like that. And they're doing these little bits where they're getting used to each other again. And that's the you just want to see that. That's what I want to. That's what I like seeing, and I just want him to see him to do that sort of stuff. I was just excited, and the end was a bit.
Well, you see, there could be a positive spin here because obviously we know his footwork probably isn't what people want from him as a quarterback, and he's admitted that as well. So maybe actually not concentrating so much on the throw, and it might get him to improve as the other side of the game. It might force that improvement, maybe because he's got to give more time to that. So there is a bit of a positive spin on that, as long as we don't suddenly say in July he needs surgery, like we did last time. And so yeah, hopefully there's a bit more of a kind of got to think positive here with this injury because it could have been a lot worse. So hopefully he's a couple of months and he's back in throwing again. So hopefully, yeah, he can work on his other aspects, and that will be good. At least he can still be on the field. It'd be worse if he completely shattered it and then couldn't go on the field for 6 months. That would have been worse. So I think there's a bit of a there is a positive to it, but again, like you say, just it's the last game of the season. Don't do anything silly. Stay in the pocket, throw the ball, end the season, move on, clear your locker out, get ready for the summer and go back. But yeah, it is frustrating, but it's that sports. And like I say, we were lucky the amount of hits he took throughout the season that he didn't get badly injured earlier in the season. So he managed to play every single game, which was, I think maybe he could have done with a bit of resting throughout the season, possibly. But he played every single game, played most of the snaps apart from the last game. So it's still positives, but yeah, it's obviously frustrating, especially when we lost as well. So, and we were on a high when he got injured, which is even more frustrating.
You would blame the commentator. He said he's played every snap, and about three
Yeah,
snaps later, he gets injured. And
it was literally like the commentator's curse, wasn't it? But at the end of the day, we were gonna. There's nothing. Our offense like died up after that. It was pretty much non-existent after that, apart from the odd couple of plays. But this is what annoys me. We had players like Pollard who had incentives. They're the ones we should be
He
like
had,
just
was
feeding
it
them.
70 yards he needed? Was it
He
70
needed
yards and two
70, he got
touchdowns?
two
yeah.
touchdowns. You got like 48 yards.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like
And you would have
just
thought
He
he
giving
would
needs
have
to
them,
go
gained
over
that incentive.
1100, didn't he?
yeah, and it's like you just feed them the ball, and it's just like at the end of the day, I was realistic about it. We were going to get spanked by the Jags. They are a far better team than what we are. They've got well, he's in a second year wide receiver who's last year was really, really, really good. Hasn't really clicked this year. That Myers has come over and he's playing so well. That link up he's got with Lawrence is just incredible already. They've got a top defense. Their coach, I think, could be pretty much going for coach of the year, and it was only getting an absolute spanking. All we had was um, Simmons, Gray, and Sweat, I think, that were starters on that defense. Hooker didn't even play; he was out. Key was out. The whole lot was out. We literally had no starters. It was a
Well,
practice squad.
Barton played, didn't he?
Oh, Barton, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, I keep
But
forgetting that.
Jesus Day's been injured, hasn't he?
But it was a pretty much a practice squad secondary. We ain't gonna do much about against that, and we're getting light, very light on that defensive line, and offensively, there's no one had that relationship with Allen, and it was pretty poor.
So I
Um,
thought we were going to go for a running game when Alan came in. I thought, oh, here we go. He's not going to throw. And he started throwing it quite a bit. And I was like, you're not very good. What are you doing? Yeah, I was
that's
kind of
coaching,
thinking,
isn't it?
we've got the Pollard and Spear. So I thought, well, okay, we're going to try run. But yeah, we just didn't do it. And I thought, well, it just, and the throwing game wasn't working either, which made it even worse. So it was like, well, what? We're constantly going three and out. What's the point in doing it? And it was a real frustrating game to watch. After we scored, it became the worst game to be a Titans fan, didn't it? Which is kind of bizarre to say that because normally when you score, you're on a high. It was like we scored and we kind of knew that's it, it's over, isn't it?
I've been quite impressed by Williams over the last 3 or 4 games. He's been putting in some good production. I think he was a late round pick. Was it last year? Was a late round pick.
Mhm.
So hopefully he's coming the right way, and well, next season we'll be pressing for a starting place.
I think it's a lot of those players, wasn't it? A bit like Gray. I really wanted to see him last year. There was a lot of hype around him
Hmm.
coming in, and the tape that I watched of him was really good. And he didn't really play much in his first year, whether
Yeah,
it's injuries or special teams and stuff. But it's just, and then this year he's been incredible. And it's been nice to see those other players coming in, like the back end of our draft picks coming in and playing. Was it Harris playing well, Winston towards the end of the season, all playing really well, and then obviously they all got injured, and then you're back to who else have we got? I mean, fair play to the commentators knowing all these. I know it's their jobs, but picking all these players, like I had no
I,
idea who was in
I'll
that
tell you what,
secondary.
right? When I do my commentary for like Solihull and Bedworth United, the home team I'm quite good with because you kind of know the players and you only need to know the first 11 for both teams. That's 22 players. I tell you what, I could not imagine doing NFL commentary. The amount of players on that field and they're coming on, going off, that would absolutely blow my mind. And they're quite quick at knowing the names as well, aren't they, in the NFL? And it's like, you know, yeah, I would not fancy that whatsoever.
Just imagine like your team that you're commentating on, and then they like the day before they went to play, they just completely changed the 11 they had. And then when they were playing, they were like, "Ah, do you know what? All those players that get injured, and you've got another new 11 players that come onto the pitch. That's pretty much what it's been like watching the Titans the last in down the stretch of the season.
Well, I see.
Just don't
Every
just
week
don't
there's
know
been
anyone.
new names, isn't there?
Yeah, like some guy like Hall came out, and I was like, oh, who the hell is this Hall guy?
Hmm.
But it's done now, isn't it? It's over.
Well, that's it. Season over. It's obviously been a bit disappointment for all of us. And yeah, at the end of the day, once you get so far in, you lose so many games, you kind of you resign to it. And I think, and I keep saying this, that over the years we've had some good seasons in recent history for the Titans, and obviously we're now on that kind. Well, we were in that rebuild process, which is this year three the rebuild now. I can't remember now. We've been rebuilding for a while, and we seem to be constantly rebuilding because we keep sacking the coaches and getting rid of the players and starting again. So hopefully now with the changes that Amy's made at the top, with Burzani, is that how you say his name? Say his name. We're going to see a bit more structure and a few more firm decisions. But yeah, they've got to get these right, haven't they?
Yeah.
I'm definitely quite excited about the future. I've They just need to get this head coach right. There's a certain amount of people I want who I'd like for the head coach.
McCoy,
Um, no, no chance.
he's
Um,
being interviewed.
Well, he
yeah, but you
deserves
could,
to get an interview. I mean,
yeah, they could interview me. Doesn't mean I'm gonna get the job, does it? I He's done all right, but
He has done right.
I just don't see. As you say, we could have with no QB coming in, we should have gone to a run game, and yet they carried on throwing it. So that explains everything to me. I think he's had a good end of the season. We've looked good the end of the season, but I I don't see it. I just don't. I'd like a new, fresh, someone that's got like history of building up
Experience.
or experience. That's it. Um, but I think the future's bright. I like Borgazoni. Well, I don't want to hate pronouncing his name because I feel like I'm gonna get it wrong. But I really like him. I think now they've changed the status of the two Brinker and Borgazoni. Now Borgazoni's it's going to be his team, and I'm really excited about that. He seems like he's got his head switched on. His draft was phenomenal. So with their picks they picked, so I'm so happy going into the next season. A lot of cap space. We're quite a desirable team.
New
So
stadium on the horizon as well.
new stadium. We might be
So
through
yeah,
our third. We could, if Amy's got anything to do with it, we're on our third head coach by the time we get to the new stadium.
and the rest. So should we talk about the head coach role? Who we think's going to get it? Is that something we want to discuss right now? Or is anyone that's your kind of favourite candidate?
well,
McCarthy.
I don't really have a favourite candidate. I just want him to have that experience of being head coach. Probably slightly more offensive minded than defensive minded. But then again, as long as you get the right defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator, they can do the business for you. I'm not particularly sold that it has to be one candidate.
Just want a winner, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So someone who, I mean, obviously they're they're probably going to be out of work because they've been fired from somewhere, but where they had a losing season. But still, they've been there and they've had teams and built them up, and show some success. I'm going with some. So often they've been going with people who haven't had success before and still haven't had success. Although Mike Vrabel was the exception.
I think it's tough, isn't it? Because the thing that we're looking for is obviously when you come to, if you lose your head coach, everyone's looking for that new up and coming coach. A bit like the Bears, the Jags, they've managed to get those coaches that are just so good, and they've come in and they've carried the team, they've galvanized the team, and they've pushed on. Vrabel's done it with the Patriots. Whether take away their record because they've had quite an easy schedule,
Mm.
he's galvanized a team, and that's what he's always good. He was such a players coach. People wanted to play for Vrabel.
Mm.
The but we want. I'd love to have one of these new people come in, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, these young coaches. But we've, I just don't want to get burnt by that. I feel like sometimes we need that experience. We need someone who's going to build the team. There's a few people that actually, to be fair, there's one person I would like, and that is what's his name? He's just left. Cliff Kingsbury from the Commanders. He's the offensive coordinator. He's just left the Commanders. Um, he's good. I quite like him, and he's developed. He was part of the development process of Daniels. Um, Obviously, he hasn't really helped this year with Daniels' injury, but he was part of a really good offense. So he would be a good candidate of like a new head coach. But yeah, you got to look at McCarthy with experience. Then you look at the Chiefs, Spags and Nagy of probably those two, isn't it? We had the issue with Rabel with the buddy hires, and everyone got a bit fed up of buddy hires. And then we've come to this new GM, and now we're being linked with buddy hires again. And I'm a bit like, it didn't work out too well for us before. Um, but there are possibilities, and was it Nagy? Nagy's the offensive coordinator, isn't he?
Offensive,
Uh,
yeah.
No, he's the defensive coordinator.
Is he? Which one's the offensive? Whoever's the offensive one, I'd quite like because I feel, to be fair, either have been good, and they've had a good team. They've had a bad year this year, but they've had very good teams, and played very, very well. So it's there's gonna be so much speculation. There's so many people get interviewed at the moment, isn't there? So I think
Well,
we've
that's it.
called from like
Every
three or
time I
four
go to my
people in
phone,
already.
it's like they've asked to speak to so and so. I put my phone down, pick it up again. They've spoke to so and so. Put the phone down, pick it up again. They've asked to speak to so. They may as well just say the Titans are going to interview everyone who's a coach for the NFL, and then we can stop doing all these random posts constantly saying who's having an interview, who isn't. Now, obviously, I'm in the mindset someone like McCarthy. I think we need an experienced head in there right now to come in and do it. I think it'll be that Matt Nagy. I think it'll be him who's going to get the job. But then I don't, I don't know why. There's always something with the Titans that you think they can do something crazy, and that's why I think McCoy might have a slim chance of getting it. You know, I don't think the fans would be happy with that as a decision. I know he ended the season quite strong, and again, I'd like to see him kept on the coaching because he obviously is, knows what he's doing because he improved the team. But nothing would surprise me with the Titans. But yeah, I would prefer an experienced head coach, somebody who can come in, young set of players, and spend 2 or 3 years building them up, ready for that first Super Bowl victory. But again, I mean, if Amy was in charge of all this, anything was possible. I guess with Brinker and Buzzagani, whatever his name is, being in
Organzi.
charge now, Bergonzi, there's a bit more of a chance that we might get a proper decision made, possibly. But yeah, with the Titans, anything's really possible, isn't it? Which is it's always a concern, isn't it? Always
Well, when it comes,
frustrating.
I mean, obviously Amy has her input because when it comes down, she's the one who hires the head coach. So, um, you know,
Well, hopefully, the way she says she's structuring it, she's doing this to let them make the decisions now going
Yeah.
forward. So hopefully, she is going to stand back and go, right, you lot run it. I'll just keep writing the checks, and that'll be it. So hopefully, that's what's going to happen. But you never know, dear, with the Titans. Anything seems possible with us for some reason. I hope McCoy doesn't go in there and offer to be a cheap option, and they go from being cheap. We need to get this right.
well, I think the thing is, you don't mind the a owner putting their 2 cents in, but you don't want them running the show too much,
Mm.
and telling that making this is the one we want, and okay, then we'll follow suit. There's worthwhile discussing it in a group and coming to a collective decision without a one person sort of start putting their foot down and saying this is the way we're going.
I think this is the. I mean, it's never going to be the last straw because you can't force an owner to sell. But I do feel this is the last hurrah by Amy that people have. They're reaching the end of their tether about the way the Tennessee Titans have been going, and I feel by looking at people's responses and how they're acting with certain things, they're just getting a bit fed up. And I think this is the time where people go, right, we've got a young QB. You've got rid of Callahan. You're gonna get someone in. This is the time you have to get this one right. We can't mess around with it. This has to be the right hire. And we've had a really good draft. We need another really good draft. I think the fans are kind of there's a lot of excitement, but also a lot of worry that if this doesn't go right, we are going to be then stuck in like teams like the Jets, Giants, Browns, where you just stagnate for so long. Talking of Browns, their head coach would be quite good. 2 times coach of the year. Um, he's not had the greatest of um, teams to work with, but I feel like he could be a good option. A lot of people rave about him.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people today on Facebook going on about he'd be a great hire. And like you say, it's difficult when they've not had a good team around them to kind of judge them. And like I say, come to the Titans with a good draft, hopefully a potential world class quarterback. It's interesting to see what happens. I know you mentioned about obviously the owners and selling up possibly and stuff. Did you see that the Titans were valued as $6.2 billion they were valued at the other day?
Well, I don't know
Pocket
what
money for some of us.
A bit much, isn't it? Six
depends
pound
what other
20.
teams are valued at, really. If to put in perspective, if the top teams are valued at 20, 30 billion, then that's not too much. But
No, but isn't it crazy just to think that the team is worth that kind of money now? I mean, I know the stadium being is obviously added to the value because obviously it's a $2 billion. Was it $2 billion stadium they built? I can't remember now. But yeah,
yeah,
isn't it weird just thinking when you started watching the Titans all those years ago, they were probably worth a couple hundred million at most, and now they're valued like over $6 billion. I think it's just absolutely crazy how sports franchises and teams, bear in mind these teams in all sports lose money. How can something that loses so much money be worth 6 billion? I've
The
never got my
thing,
head around that.
the thing that amazes me about that is the Tennessee Titans are pretty terrible, and they are worth more than I believe Man United, Man City, Liverpool, as individual
Yeah, it's
clubs
crazy, isn't
who
it?
are winning things, who are probably, and this is what I don't understand that. Why is it valued at 6.2 million? Like no one in the UK, no one's heard of the Tennessee Titans. Yet if you go to America, everyone knows who Man City, Man United, and Liverpool are. So it's a really confusing thing. It's like, how do you justify that being 6.2 million? Like the world reach of like the commercial value on there is going to be absolutely nothing. You're pretty much marketed to just Tennessee. I mean, I know we're us three are the exception for the UK of being
Tennessee,
UK
about 50
fans.
people in the UK, yeah. Well, it is crazy, like you say. I know obviously the NFL is different because it's only 32 teams and, it's a closed shop where nobody can join, nobody can leave as such. And, you kind of guaranteed that you are an NFL team as it stands forever. There's no promotion relegation. But again, still, just to have that kind of value, I just think it's absolutely insane. Just,
well, the
yeah,
TV
it's just
rights
madness.
the TV rights are worth astronomical amounts per year, aren't they?
Mental.
That they get guaranteed. So it's like all things. It's not a true reflection of the actual. If you added up all the nuts and bolts and came to that figure, it's just what the potential is. But it makes it
Mm.
so valuable.
But no, I just why anybody would want to buy a sports team or I don't get it. If I was a billionaire and I wanted to buy smart, I'd just start my own team. I just don't get why you give 6 billion over to take someone off somebody. But that's just
Well,
people with
kickstart
too
the
much
London
money.
Monarchs again.
I wish they would. I wish they would because they keep talking about. I mean, I watch some of the British American football because there's a team in Coventry now where I live, Coventry Phoenix. And I went to watch them last season, and they're retraining again now. But like I say, it's just it's not very good. It's good level of sport. It's quite good, but it just doesn't get that kind of what do you call it exposure in this country. It'd be nice if they had some TV deals. They show the games for free sometimes on Facebook on their Facebook page, the BAFL. Is it FL? And it's quite good to see. And I'd like to see a bit more, and I'd like to see a bit more interaction. Have some British teams, and then make there's European League, and there's no British teams in the European League, I believe, which is really frustrating because we want to try build the sport in the UK and give NFL teams a bit of competition, or be feeder get young English guys into the American sports, but it just doesn't happen. But that's obviously a subject for another day, unfortunately. So do you want to have a quick chat about who our favourite players were of the season? Give out some kind of like awards to players who we think were good. Do we want to cover that today?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, go on
Yep.
then. So we'll start with you, David. Then, who was your bust of the year?
bust of the year, Sneed
Hmm.
by a long way, closely followed by Ridley, I think. Those two, but Sneed
James,
was.
same again.
I've made it. I've not been hiding behind my dislike of Sneed. For me, he's not even a Tennessee Titan player anymore. So I'm not going to say his name, and I like to offer someone for a debate. I'm actually going to say Hooker. I've been very disappointed with Hooker this year, considering the
Yeah.
year he had last year.
Yeah.
I had thought this he would have been a good leader for that secondary this year, and he hasn't been at it. Just been quite poor, really.
I think, yeah,
It's fair
that
enough.
you can't deny he hasn't played as anywhere near what he played last season. Yeah, 50% less, I think.
To be fair, with a losing season like we've had, it's hard to pick out one individual sometimes because quite a few players have been quite poor. But I think, yeah, I think you're right, David. I think Sneed and Ridley are probably the two top candidates for that. So, who's been your most improved player of the year? James, we'll start you this time.
Uh, do you know what? It's a tough one because I feel like a lot of people have played really well. Um, I'm going to give that to Skoronski. I think he's been phenomenal in that offensive line. Um, Actually, no, he had a bad game this week. I looked at the pressure rate, and I think he gave up a couple of pressures, which is very unlike him. But I'm going to give that to most improved was Skoronski. Not that he was bad last year, but I just think he's had a really good year this year.
David?
Cedric Gray. I mean, you know, he obviously had an injury curtailed last season, but he's been absolutely brilliant this season.
Yeah, do you know that was my thoughts about Cedric Gray because he struggled with injuries, he had lots of issues, and he's come in and he's been consistent, hasn't he? And he really has improved. So I was quite pleased with him this year because I wasn't too sure what kind of player we were going to get with him this year because we didn't really see fully last season what he was like. So, rookie of the year. I think this might be an easy one. If you don't say the same as I'm thinking, I'll be disappointed. Go on then, David. Who you got for rookie of the year?
Well, he's broken records, so DK is the actual rookie of the year for all over.
Yeah, I
Same,
can't
James.
really. I was going to try and say something really funny, but I can't really think of anything. I was going to say Femi for a laugh, but no, Chim's been incredible. I'm a big fan of him now. You get those certain players. Like for me, Cedric Gray was that one from last year, and DK was that one from this year. There was a lot of talk about Iron Manor before the season, but DK's just been
It's just
another
been
level, hasn't
phenomenal,
he?
isn't he?
He
He just
definitely he's
he's
talked
he's
himself into
everywhere,
the
isn't he?
top flight of like he's in the conversation for a starting wide receiver's place for next year, I think, and obviously
I mean,
special
was
team
he a fourth round pick? Was he?
fourth,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. So
first,
for a fourth
first.
round pick, and it's such a poor team, and he's everywhere. He's doing everything. He's that kind of player you want who just kind of just I don't know. He just seems to be smashing it. I just oh yeah, DK 100%. Although rookie of the year, he might be even player of the year. Defensive player of the year, James. Do you want to go with that one?
Yeah, I'm going because of you'll find out how I'm going to go. I'm saying Cedric Gray. I think he's been phenomenal this year. He broke a record, most sacks this season. Broke a lot of records actually for this year. Considering we've been so bad, we've actually broken, I think it's 4 records this year across the board. I think Cam, DK, Jeff. Yeah, 4. I think 4 records. But yeah, Cedric Gray, phenomenal year. Absolute stud of a signing in the draft.
Well, it's a toss-up between Gray, and Jeffrey Simmons. I'd have to go with Gray because Simmons has given away a few too many penalties this year.
I was going to go with Simmons as my defensive player of the year because he's just such a beast, isn't he? I know I think he's too keen sometimes. That's why he keeps giving away the penalties. He's so kind of riled. He came in at the start of the season. He lost quite a bit of weight as well. You could see he really wanted it. I thought at the start of the season, I think he did struggle a little bit, but this kind of second half of the season, he's it's like something switched on inside him. And I think there was one game where you could see just how his eyes were sticking out like that. It was like he was really wired up and just really wanted to go. And then you just want to see that level of determination, don't you? Which is quite good.
Yeah.
So what about offensive player of the year then?
I'd say Gunnar Helm. Yeah, I think for a late fourth round pick, he's done really well. I mean, he wasn't utilised enough as he could be, but I think his percentage of catches to balls thrown was nearly 80% and far higher than anyone else.
Uh, it's a hard one, and I don't like picking the same player for each award. So I'm going to say Skoronski's done, so I can't pick him. I think it's a toss up. I think Ward's played really well. DK again has played really well, but slightly better on special teams than offensively. I'm going to say Chig. He's my offensive player of the year. Two tight ends. What you got, David?
Ridley. Oh no, wrong one. Um, okay, a bit of an odd one. I'm going to say Pollard because I know he had a very. I've criticised him throughout the season, Pollard, and that this kind of second half of the season, he's managed to get just shy of 1,100 yards. So for such a poor season, I actually think as an attacking player, I think he's actually. If he'd have started the season the way he finished it, he could have been close to like 1,600 yards, maybe a bit more. And I think he could have been a lot better. I think he was under Callahan, he was very poorly used. When we had the coaching change, he was very poorly used. And something switched on with him. So I'm going to say Parr just to be something different, I guess. Not sure you guys really agree with that, but something a bit different.
I think he found it difficult because they weren't at the start of the season. The offensive line wasn't really gelling that well, and they weren't creating enough holes for him because he's always been a player that once he gets through, he can make people miss. But if he's got to fight his way through the first or minus first yard, he struggles. But
I think with Spears being injured as well, he didn't have that option to kind of come out. At the start of the season, he was in every snap, and he didn't have that backup option because the young guy was injured, and then Spears was injured for the first 6 weeks. He had the high ankle sprain, so he was out for a while. So he didn't really have that backup option. So it was all on him constantly, which probably didn't help. So look, we've got about 80 seconds to go. So player of the season, very quickly.
Mine's easy. Simmons. Big Jeff.
Really difficult player of the season. I'm going to say Cam actually, because I mean his improvement throughout the season has been improved, and even though they only had one drive in the last game, he looked really composed playing that drive.
And it was a scoring drive as well.
Yeah, it was a scoring drive.
I'm going to go for me, it's DK. He's got me excited. He's got me off my seat, which is really good because that doesn't happen very often, especially this season. I was slumped in that sofa most of the season, so I think DK has been my player of the season. So right, we're down to the last 30 seconds, guys. So we'll have to wrap it up there. I'm sure we'll catch up again next week. We'll have no games to talk about, so I have lots of free time to waffle, which is really good. The last podcast had the most views ever. I think it was like 52 views, which is still low, not quite in the millions yet, but it was good. I don't know what happened. It really exploded in the last few days. So everyone follow us on Facebook. Come find us, especially on a Sunday. Even if we're not playing, we're still there. And better leave there because it's about to kick us out. So cheers, guys.
Cheerio.
Cheers.
Hope the Bills